Nothing Papoose.
So y'all, I had to bring this back because y'all know I like to psychoanalyze stuff and I like to piece things together because the stuff is literally like a puzzle. But the more myself and the Vibrant Investigation Squad go through stuff and research, the more this stuff is starting to come together. Now, before we get into this, do me a favor. Let me know if you were one of the many people that thought when all this stuff first broke out that Remy was the one that cheated first. Did you at any time think that Remy was at fault, that she messed up a good marriage with a good man, Savannah? Drop me a blue heart. If now that you've done your research, you recognize that things were not exactly like it seemed like it played out in the media. Because listen, I'm not gonna hold you. When I looked at Remy and Pap, I used to see it through the lens that they presented on social media. The whole he held her down, he was the great husband, he made all these sacrifices, but now we know better. And baby, I am sad that Remy didn't leave this Negro years ago. So we definitely all were here for it when Remy aired Pap out, especially when she gave him that nickname Papoose. It was priceless. But what if I told you that out of the many reasons that Remy had to leave this man alone, that whole pawn shop situation might just be a major catalyst? Because you got to think about it. She went over in this video, and I'll play it throughout the rest of the upload, but she went on to explain that she had to get the police involved because her jewelry was insured. This was also the time that we realized, which I don't know why we were asleep in the beginning, but Remy slowly started to let us in on Pap's secret, and that is that he's just broke. But again, through the messy research that we have been doing over here, we even found out what might just be, allegedly, the real true story behind the pawn shop receipt. Let's get into it. It's your girl Nylah, and I'm back with another video. Welcome back to the Vibers, the Blue Heart Gang. And if you're just getting here for the first time, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, click those notification bells so that you can know every time I go live or when I do another upload. Because now we are in a relationship and yeah, we got to get into this bullshit. So listen, as promised, we're going to get into the detail behind the Papoose situation because Remy was very vocal about that, and I don't even think it's talked about enough. Just like I don't even think it's talked about enough when Nigeria, which is Claressa Shields' ex-best friend, came out and alluded to Papoose allegedly pawning purses, high-end purses that Claressa had in her possession. And y'all know Claressa is not going to think objectively or be on some grown woman-ish when it comes to Papoose because she's got a lot of ego involved in there. And this is exactly why a lot of people are against age gap relationships with people that are possibly on the spectrum or a little bit younger. And I mean that respectfully because what we don't want is we do not want anyone to be in a vulnerable disadvantage when it comes to somebody that is predatory and self-serving. So before we get into what happened and why Papoose allegedly went to the pawn shop with his wife's jewelry, let's set the stage because this again is not talked about enough. Papoose has always been predatory when it comes to Remy's success and when it comes to her bag. He has always exploited her money, exploited her celebrity, and exploited everything around her for his financial benefit and to build his reputation.
So I got criticized because, you know, we both had kids when we were really young. So my son is 18, his son, and one of his daughters is 18. The other one should be 22 soon. So they're all grown. Mm-hmm. So I pretty much call them the new kid and the old kids. Like
the new kid and the old
like,
kids.
Yeah, like they're the old kids. Like they gotta go. They're pretty much
go.
They're not even kids anymore. They're technically all adults.
They're grown.
They're adult children, not children. There's nothing childlike.
They're gonna be our kids forever.
So he started.
Now, here's what I want you to keep in mind, okay? The breadwinner, the bag holder is Remy, okay? And yes, in a healthy marriage where you have literally blended your family, the finances are shared and all this kind of stuff. But knowing what we know now about him and how he'll steal her jewelry and pawn her stuff and how technically he's never really had a job. Okay, he's never really been an earner. And yes, I know he calls himself the $1.5 million man. He's been talking about that $1.5 million for about 15 years. I get it. But the one sustaining them was her. And just, you know, as a man, as someone who claims he's a protector and a provider, why was he so comfortable with not only leaning financially on his wife 100%, especially because, you know, he wanted to manage her and all this kind of stuff. So she's paying her husband essentially to help her provide for the household, and then still having to, you know, pay money out. And that's something that she said as well.
He's claiming off of your percentage because he's your manager. Got you out here talking, looking crazy. He's the one that don't want to sign. Don't want to get his stuff out his ex house.
Come pick up your clothes.
Doesn't be there for his child. My jewelry from out of the pawn shop. Could you go pick it up? Should I? If y'all need me to, because as soon as motherfuckers start lying, I'm gonna start dropping receipts. Why is my jewelry not in my jewelry box and it left out of here the last time you was here? 20% out of my check, and I still pay all the bills. When I decided that I didn't like being guilt tripped. Oh, I was there when nobody else was there. That's the type of people that gets preyed on.
Yo, Claressa, are you listening? One of the things that Remy has told us is that this man cares about his image. He cares about how he's perceived. And we know this because he was always hobnobbing and trying to look rich, like he was a baller and had all this money. And let's not even forget about that gambling problem. But what I'm saying is this: what you're going to hear in the next couple of clips is Papoose basically saying that he wants his kids to live a certain type of lifestyle. And that's cool because most of us want our children to have even more than whatever we had when we were kids. But it's weird for a man to want his kids to come up off of his wife's dime. I mean, all the way around, this man has deceived us. He sold the black love notion so that we wouldn't judge him, so that we would more idolize him. He presented his children having a very rich lifestyle that was off the back of his wife. And he made it seem like he was managing her career, like he had something to do with her success. And I want you to think about something else. Claressa is definitely his current come up, because now that Remy has stepped out of the way, his grown-ass daughter, who is just 1 year younger than Claressa, is calling her stepmom. She's doing her makeup. She's advertising her products. And yeah, I know somebody's going to say, well, that's what families do and all this kind of stuff. That girl don't have no business calling no Claressa Shields her stepmother when her father's married. Claressa's 1 year older than her, and there's no way Claressa could raise her or impact her life intellectually, spiritually, or socially in a way that is beneficial.
You coming from the streets of Brooklyn, you know, and you grew up in poverty, you come from nothing. One of your main important goals is to make sure your kids don't struggle like you do. So,
and they're not struggling.
I was in them streets at first, you know what I mean, before I got to this music. I had to make sure that they was well off, you know what I mean, and they had everything that they needed. But to answer your question,
let's be honest though, who is it that made sure that your children were not struggling? It was not you. It was not your career. It was not your hard work. It was not your ethic. It was not your connections. It was your wife and her bag.
Question, yes, because with the golden child, I'm not missing 1 second.
Right.
You know, when you have kids when you're young, you're a kid yourself to a certain extent.
Remy disagrees.
Of course I disagree. I don't care. I feel like the kids nowadays, they don't have the same goals and values that I had. They feel entitled to certain things. They feel like that the things that we give them, they're just supposed to have, that we're supposed to do it. They don't realize that when we grew up, we didn't have that. Like we didn't even have the option. Most of our parents we came from either broken homes or people were on public assistance, all type of, to have a car was a luxury. Like, so for everybody in the house to have a vehicle, like, they think it's normal. It's okay. They think it's normal to, you know, lose their phone and get another $1,200 phone. Oh, the new one came out. Give me a new phone. Like,
now, as you can see, Remy is more so leaning towards these kids are grown. They need to learn to make their way. And she literally said that they feel entitled. Now, think about that. Why do they feel entitled? And Papoose is the one that is pushing that basically they should feel entitled, just like he feels entitled. And entitlement is what's going to lead us to this next batch, okay? And here's the receipts. Now, we all remember when Remy posted this receipt from the pawn shop, it was like, yo, this is why she's calling him Papoose. He ain't never beating those allegations. But there's one thing that a lot of people missed on that, and that is the date of the receipt. Very important. Now, as you can see, the date that is signed by Pap is November 6, 2024. Now, that's a very significant day for Papoose. And here's why they call me messy. And I don't care what y'all have to say about it. This is exactly why he had to pawn that jewelry. And that is, it's the birthday of his daughter that we know is Chanel. You know, Nylah Mackie. I mean, this man then already told us this story about how he wants them to have everything and they're still our kids. And Remy has explained how entitled they were. That is literally the lifestyle that he has thrust upon these kids. That level of entitlement is crazy, especially for adults. And remember, you got to rewind. Maybe you do, because I don't want to make this video longer than what it has to be. But she was talking about them being adults at that time, and they absolutely were. Even Chanel herself was at least 21 when that video was done. Not to mention how Papoose likes to pretend to be rich. And because of all the shenanigans that was going on in his marriage at this time and the fact that Remy was not interested in the bullshit anymore, this Negro had to steal the money. He had not yet brokered the deal with Claressa Shields to get her the quote-unquote $8 million deal that he got a percentage of. And I literally learned, you know what? We'll talk about it in the live stream because I don't want nobody stealing my content, especially since people like to have think pieces about what I do over here. But he needs Claressa in order to get an income. Because, baby, he wasn't getting paid anywhere. Pap's job is commission only. He does not have a salary. It is literally a ceremonial position of sorts. He was running those streets with the other women that Remy Ma said that he was messing around with. And he was running those streets with Claressa Shields. And remember, he wasn't solidly committed to her publicly or doing any movements towards her to make anything solid yet. All of that only came about because Remy exposed him in the video. Y'all gotta remember, dates matter. He filed for divorce literally after Remy put it out there that she been told him that it was time, that she been presented him with the paperwork, that she been had her attorney to reach out to him. And later on, y'all need to come back to my channel because we're going to discuss exactly why the divorce is being held off now. I'm going to share it with you guys because I know y'all want to know. So anyway, let me know what y'all think about it. Don't you find it coincidental that he pawns his wife's jewelry while they're on bad terms, while he can't get any money from her? He starts, charging up her Amex card, like she said, pawning her jewelry, doing all of this mess because he don't have access to that money. It's his daughter's birthday. He got to fake in front and keep up the entitlement issues that he's created with them. So he just decided to steal from his wife. And if you like my commentary, please click like, comment, and subscribe. And if you don't like it, you can still comment. You can still subscribe because you're bound to return and find something that will entertain you or be of intellectual benefit.